The Alien series has grown significantly throughout the years, beginning with Ridley Scott's Alien in 1979, which introduced the world to the terrifying xenomorph creature, the ominous workings of the company Weyland-Yutani, and the beloved heroine Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver. The series has hit highs and lows, with entries achieving much acclaim and popularity, with other entries that some may prefer to disregard. With its core movies, along with prequels, spin-offs, and ties to a separate horror sci-fi franchise in Predator, the Alien series has the ideal makings of a movie marathon. But there are plenty of different ways to do such a marathon, and you may have your own preferences over what you'd want to include. Whether you're a seasoned fan of the Alien franchise, or if you're new to it, here are some ways to do an Alien movie marathon.
Okay, what do I do?
If you're pressed for time, or really only want to fit in the absolute best of the best, then maybe the duology double bill is best for you. This is Alien and Aliens, the first two films in the series, the most acclaimed, the most popular, and the most objectively good. This is the surefire bet for those new to the series who maybe don't want to take too deep of a dive. These aren't likely to disappoint, and if they do, then definitely the other entries in the series should best be avoided. But if a newcomer watches these two and enjoys them, then maybe it's worth venturing out a little more to see the others. That would be at your discretion, but with a warning that not all of what follows is loved by all. In fact, there are fans out there, hardcore, devoted, very enthusiastic and committed fans, that only really consider themselves fans of the first two movies. And that's fine. These are the cream of the crop, worthy of having a legion of fans all on their own. Maybe it's a stretch to refer to a double bill of Alien and Aliens as a marathon, but it's quality, not quantity here, and though brief, it's a wholly satisfying experience.
Is that acceptable to you?
But maybe for you, 3 is the magic number. Maybe for you, beginning and concluding a story within a movie trilogy is just the ticket. Or maybe you're nostalgic for that brief window of time in which the Alien trilogy was, well, the Alien trilogy. That being the case, having a trilogy marathon of the Alien movies, the first 3, is the best way to go. This may all hinge on your opinion of Alien 3. The first 2 movies are well liked, but when it comes to Alien 3, opinions are more divided. If you love the movie and feel it's a better conclusion to the series than the 4th movie, then the trilogy viewing is ideal. Even if you dislike Alien 3 or have mixed feelings about it, but still want that feeling of conclusion, and maybe not getting that feeling from going on to watch Part 4, then this is still the best way to go. Viewing it as a trilogy is a decent way to have things wrapped up in 3 movies. In the 3-part structure, it definitely feels like we get the build-up with the first movie, the rising stakes with the second movie, and a very firm conclusion in the third. If you're new to the series, no doubt this comes with a warning. Alien 3 is a lesser movie than the first 2. You're not guaranteed to love it, but it might just be worth taking that risk to see what you think. Maybe you'll love it, maybe you'll hate it, but it will finish off the story. I promise you that. Alien works very well as a trilogy, and when viewed that way, Alien 3, with all its faults, works well as its final chapter.
Well, alright.
You can always take it one step further, though. I'd have to check my resources, but I'm pretty sure quadrilogy is just a word made up by 20th Century Fox Home Video to sell DVDs in 2003, but regardless, with the quadrilogy viewing, you get the 4 core movies in the series: Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection. These are the Sigourney Weaver starring films, and on that basis, it's a real treat to sit down and watch each movie and experience how different the atmosphere is in each, and see how differently Weaver tackles the Ripley character each time. Reactions to Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection may vary, but this is the Alien movie marathon I would most generally recommend. Over the course of 4 movies, one bigger story, focused on one character, unfolds. It's at least worth giving the original 4 movies a go and sitting down to watch the Alien quadrilogy.
Was it everything you hoped for?
After the release of the original 4 movies and the spin-off series in Alien vs. Predator, which I'll get to soon enough, Ridley Scott decided there was more to tell of what went on in the universe prior to his first film and began his prequel series. This introduced Prometheus and Alien Covenant, offering some insight into the mysterious origins of the alien and the derelict spaceship discovered in the first movie. Personally, I'd recommend doing a marathon with the prequels following the first 4, as I think the events presented in the prequels are more interesting to consider after experiencing the original movies. Added to the fact that there are intentions to make more prequels, or at the very least 1 more, and it's all kind of in development hell right now, so beginning a marathon with the prequels leaves a pretty big story gap. But that's just my personal opinion, and if you choose to watch Prometheus and Alien Covenant before the quadrilogy, that's a perfectly fine option as well. Needless to say, you could also combine a prequel watch with a duology or trilogy viewing as well. In fact, there are fans out there who absolutely adore the original Alien from Ridley Scott, but felt none of the sequels really did it justice, and would rather trust Scott's vision with the movies only he has directed in the series. That's enough for a trilogy watch right there, the Scott Trilogy, consisting of Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and Alien. Story gaps be damned, this is all about tonal continuity, and these three movies, all from the same director, actually fit together pretty well. Though we'll have to see if Scott does any more movies, in lieu of more of the prequels, this could serve as a trilogy with Alien being the last act. Each movie introduces a new location where explorers make horrifying discoveries. Each movie introduces a new female heroine, each facing off against a vicious alien threat. Not a bad triple feature, actually. If you're purely interested in only what Scott brings to the table, then this is definitely the marathon for you.
Really? How extraordinary.
Make no mistake, though, there are plenty out there who don't care for the Ridley Scott prequels, who don't really like the direction they took, and would rather have an Alien marathon with the quadrilogy plus the AVP movies serving as the prequels instead. While generally considered more of a spin-off series in and of itself, Alien vs. Predator and Aliens vs. Predator Requiem take place chronologically before the Alien movies, though they do offer a connection to them in the form of WEYLAND and YUTANI characters, as well as characters that could possibly be related to characters from Alien. Much like in viewing the quadrilogy along with the prequels, I'd recommend viewing the two AVP movies after watching the original 4 Alien movies, but they don't have too much consequence continuity-wise either way, so they can definitely be watched before too, since Alien vs. Predator and the sequel each take place in the early 2000s modern day instead of far off into the future, as the Alien films do. Like with a prequel viewing, you can add the AVP films to any type of viewing you may have, whether it be duology, trilogy, or quadrilogy, and in my opinion, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem is a serious dip in quality, and I wouldn't blame you for omitting it entirely. That being the case, only the first AVP would stand as a sole prequel, and that's not too bad.
This is worth the risk.
Maybe you're not especially picky though, and just want to do the biggest Alien marathon possible, the good and the bad, and want to include all the Alien films made to date, whether they be a sequel, prequel, or spin-off. There are two main ways to do this. The first and most straightforward way is to watch them according to when they were released. This begins with Alien from 1979, Aliens released in 1986, Alien 3 released in 1992, Alien Resurrection, released in 1997, Alien vs. Predator, released in 2004, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, released in 2007, Prometheus, released in 2012, and finally Alien Covenant, released in 2017. All 8 films under the Alien brand watched in the order in which they were introduced to the world, and progressing through them in an order that gives you a pretty good idea of how special effects technology developed over several years. A perfectly fine and acceptable order, but maybe you want to get the best possible sense of an overall connecting story, and want them chronologically according to the events taking place in the world of these films. That order begins with Alien vs. Predator, taking place in 2004 on Earth, followed by Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, also taking place that same year and picking up right after the ending of the first AVP. Next is Prometheus, with the bulk of its story taking place in 2093, so that's where you'd best want to place it timeline marathon-wise. And it's followed by Alien Covenant, set a few years after the events of Prometheus, taking place in the year 2104. Jumping ahead to 2122 is where the events of Alien take place, followed up 57 years later in Aliens, set in 2179. Then, shortly after the events of Aliens, Alien 3 is next, also taking place in 2179. Finally making a huge jump of roughly 2 centuries ahead, the marathon ends with Alien Resurrection, set in the year 2381. That's 8 movies in total, and a healthy-sized movie marathon. But if you want to go even further, especially since the AVP movies are already in the mix, why not include the Predator series in your marathon? Alien and Predator, both movie series joining together forces for one epic movie marathon.
You son of a bitch!
With the Predator series in your marathon, this adds 4 more movies into the mix, making it the biggest possible marathon of the official movies in each franchise that you can do, and there are plenty of ways you can go about this. Of course, with the different series now involved and 4 different movies varying in quality, you can curate these entries to your preference. Maybe you want to leave out the most recent entry, The Predator. Maybe it wasn't for you. Make it the Predator Trilogy instead. Or maybe you only like the first 2 and want to include those. Or maybe you just want to include the absolute best, the first Predator, and work it in somehow with any of the other previous combinations mentioned. But let's assume all Predator movies will be combined with all the Alien movies. How do you do it? You could watch each series separately, with the Alien prequels wherever you feel comfortable putting them, and the AVP movies in between, serving as a bridge between the 2 series. You could also save AVP for the very last, kind of a bonus, crossover edition to the marathon. You could bulk up the Predator series a little more by counting the AVP movies as Predator movies, making it 6 movies in total. This would have Alien vs. Predator and Aliens vs. Predator Requiem set between Predator 2 and Predators, which is where they take place chronologically, and it's the same order according to release year. But with that line of thinking, and with 4 new movies now added to the marathon, maybe you'd prefer to stick to the tried and true release year marathon, watching all 12 movies according to when they actually came out. This starts with Alien from 1979, Aliens from 1986, Predator from 1987, Predator 2 from 1990, Alien 3 from 1992, Alien Resurrection from 1997, Alien vs. Predator from 2004, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem from 2007, Predators from 2010, Prometheus from 2012, Alien Covenant from 2017, and finally The Predator from 2018, the most recent release to date from either series. If you're keen on following one big timeline, however, that can easily be applied here, with the Predator movies included in your marathon. The marathon begins with Predator, set in 1987, Predator 2, set in 1997, Alien vs. Predator, set in 2004, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, also set in 2004, Predators, set in 2010, The Predator, set in 2018, Prometheus, mostly set in 2093, mostly, Alien Covenant, set in 2104, Alien, set in 2122, Aliens, set in 2179, Alien 3, also set in 2179, and once again, ending with Alien Resurrection in 2381. A broad 12-movie marathon spanning over a broad multiple-century timeline from 1987 to 2381. A gigantic film viewing experience filled with horror, thrills, space monsters, and brave heroes.
Good idea!
But maybe you're a hardcore fan, you've seen all the movies together before, you've watched them in these orders before, you want to try something different, maybe a little more experimental when it comes to your viewing order. Well, I can offer another option, with some sub-options, for you. Kind of a fun, hopefully different way to watch all of the movies. Instead of by timeline or year of release, why not try watching them in order of critical consensus?
I've never seen anything like it.
Just for a bit of fun, you can watch the movies according to their scores on Rotten Tomatoes. Whether you give any credence to Rotten Tomatoes or not, it's at least fun and interesting to look up the critical consensus of movies on this site to get an idea of how they're all rated. You can watch by either ascending or descending rating, whatever your preference may be, but perhaps descending order might be best if you're pressed for time and want an option to opt out of the marathon as you notice quality gradually declining. Basically, you could stop whenever you want. The Rotten Tomatoes score order by descending rating looks like this. Aliens, certified fresh with a 99% rating. Alien, certified fresh with a 97% rating. Predator, certified fresh at 81%. Prometheus, certified fresh at 73%. Alien Covenant, fresh at 66%. Predators, fresh at 65%. Alien Resurrection, rotten at 56%. Alien 3, rotten at 42%. The Predator, rotten at 32%. Predator 2, rotten at 26%. Alien vs. Predator, rotten at 21%. And Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, rotten at 11%. Of course, it's a perfectly viable option to do this in ascending order as well. If you're fully committed to watching all the movies, starting at the bottom with AVPR with its, quite frankly, generous rating of 11%, then steadily climbing through as the ratings get better and better with each movie, and rewarding yourself with a strong ending by capping it off with the 99% rated certified fresh Aliens.
Magnificent, isn't it?
And would you look at that, we have 12 films in total, split in half by the tomato meter. 6 are classified as rotten, 6 are classified as fresh. Of the 6 fresh movies, 4 are labeled certified fresh, a highly coveted rating. So maybe you'd only want to do a fresh marathon, watch only the movies with the bright red tomatoes approval. Maybe even for kicks, try a rotten marathon, no judgment here. Watch those 6 and determine for yourself if all those critics really know what they're talking about. Now, at this point, I think it's worth mentioning that during your Alien movie marathon, you may run into the option of choosing between the theatrical and special edition versions of the original 4 films. There are also rated and unrated versions of each AVP movie, but honestly it doesn't make too much of a difference either way. But when it comes to the original 4, each version for each movie is distinctly different, so if you're wondering about the versions to watch, the best advice I can give is this. If you've already seen both the theatrical and special editions of each film, then nobody knows what you like better than yourself, so go with whatever version you prefer, or like best, or feel you're in the best mood for. If you're brand new to the series, I'd strongly recommend selecting the theatrical versions of each movie. That way, if you end up enjoying them and intend to watch them again, there'll be something extra for you on the next viewing. That's personally what I feel is the best approach for a newcomer to the series. But if you're not a newcomer, and if you can't get enough Alien movie marathoning, then I present one final option for your viewing. All the Alien movies, all the Predator movies, plus a special edition victory lap. So choose whatever order of the 12 movies you like, but when it comes to Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection, watch the theatrical versions, but once you're done, come back to those movies and watch the special edition versions the next time around. That makes your 12-movie marathon even bigger, technically making it a 16-movie marathon, and giving you all the ultimate badass bragging rights. If this is your level of commitment, I salute you. This video is being published in January of 2020, but who knows what might come in the future. Maybe more movies, maybe not. But for now, there's plenty to choose from, and if you're looking for a way to kick off the new year with an Alien movie marathon, hopefully some of these suggestions have been useful. Ultimately, though, there's no right or wrong way to watch the Alien series. There's no such thing as a true fan of Alien. Maybe you only like the first 2 movies. Maybe you like including the Predator movies, maybe you don't. Maybe you like Ridley Scott's prequels or you don't. Whatever your preference or opinion is, it's perfectly valid. What's great about this series is that it has variety and caters to many different tastes. Even if there are certain entries you don't like, maybe you'll still give them another chance anyway. Who knows? Maybe your opinion could change. However you watch the Alien movies, in what order, and how many you include, is entirely up to you. For me, personally, I like to give all of the movies a chance. Maybe not every time I sit down for a marathon, but there are different marathon options for different moods, just as there are different movies in the series for different moods. And I feel it's worth going back and revisiting them, even the lesser ones, every once in a while. I really like the idea that we have these 2 series, 3 if you classify Alien vs. Predator as its own separate spin-off series, all being parts of one larger universe. Each movie has its own take and approach of how to present the universe to its audience, and each aims to tap into ways to thrill and entertain us. So many talented filmmakers have put their stamp on this series and have given us their own unique takes when it comes to the horror, science fiction, and action elements that come with each movie. Within all of these movies combined, you can find examples of industry-best special effects work, some incredible edge-of-your-seat action sequences, and plenty of memorable characters along the way. This world of Alien and Predator is a topic of intense interest and passion for me. That's why I have this YouTube channel. There's always something that leaves me wanting to come back, look for more to enjoy, and hopefully lots of new things to talk about here. It's a 40-year legacy that to this day continues to find new fans and captivate audiences in the modern era. I really hope we see more movies in the future. I would absolutely love to have even more added to this universe, but for now, in 2020, there's no shortage of movies for marathoning options. The series and its legacy is strong, and I know either way, I'll keep coming back for more. I'd love to hear how you prefer your Alien movie marathon, though. Which marathon of the ones mentioned here do you usually do? Or is it something different entirely? Comment below and let me know how you best approach your alien movie marathoning. As always, I'd like to thank you very much for watching today. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like. And you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from Alien Theory. A very, very special thanks goes out to WEYLAND YUTANI executives, EmYarUk, Mark Fox, and Lady Anne. And our Queen, Albert Newell, part of the Patreon Hive. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory over social media. Follow @alien_theory on Twitter and @alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.